Well, hello and welcome to our Hot Author Showcase. My name is Angel Tussey, and I have had the privilege of working with these spectacular authors over the last 90 days to help them become published authors and get their books out. And I'm so excited to introduce them to you today. We have incredible stories, we have incredible momentum, we have incredible mentors that are here in the studio ready just to share their stories to inspire you. So if you've ever thought about writing a book, you know somebody, or people have always said to you, hey, you should write a book. Your life, your story is so interesting. Hopefully these stories will inspire you to take action and start putting pen to paper, right? Or keyboard to electronic to your page. We are so excited to help you get that story out. I'm Angel Tussey. I'm known as the media matchmaker. I run the Need a Guest Facebook group where we connect podcast hosts with guests every single day. So if you've ever thought about getting your message out in front of more audiences, more of your target audience, we have an incredible community, a free community we invite you to plug into. You can find it online under Facebook groups. It's called Need a Guest, or you can just go straight to the website, needaguest.com, and it will point you right into that community. Something you're going to hear a lot today are some text opt-ins. Every one of our authors has a free gift for you. We're going to give you an opportunity to go and find their books. Some of them are already published. There might be some that are in the works and they are coming very soon. And so make sure you pull out your phones and put this keyword or this number in your phone, 26786. That number is 26786. A lot of our authors have a nice little keyword where they can text you and give you a free gift. And just to give you an example, if you text the word famous, 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 to 26786, we'll get the ball rolling for you right now. That's also going to give you access into our free community where right now we have dozens of podcast hosts who are looking for guests, probably with stories just like yours. So I'm excited to be introducing this incredible network to you, this incredible group of authors, but I'm really here to just inspire you, to remind you that every time you support an author, you are making an impact into a legacy, right? Somebody else's legacy. One of the greatest things about supporting authors, right? These are indie authors. They're out there marketing. They're doing great things in their local communities, and they're all available for interviews. So if you have a podcast and you're looking for guests, we encourage you to reach out to these authors because they are all available for their podcast interviews. They're all kickstarting their virtual book tours right here with this Hot Author Showcase. So if you see somebody you like, recommend them, share it with a friend, and invite them into your podcast. If you do have a podcast and you are looking for guests, you can promote your show for free inside of our Need a Guest community as well. We have over 40,000 people in that network, and it's a great place to get invited to be a guest, or if you need a guest. I'm super honored that we've been able to put that program together and put that group together. All right, well, first up, I'm going to bring him up to the stage. We're going to add Bob into. Hi, Bob, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Angel, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Bob, where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Dallas, Texas.
From Dallas, Texas. I've got a friend who runs a TV network in Dallas, and we always say that the big D stands for distribution, right? Because when it comes to marketing and getting your name out, we all need a bigger distribution, and that is one of the things that we are creating for you, Bob. Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us about your brand new book.
Well, I'm a commercial real estate broker in Dallas. I've been a broker for 39 years. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I specialize in dealing with doctors and dentists and other medical, and we do everything from ground up build-to-suits to build them new buildings or develop new properties for them, to managing their properties, to helping them renew leases or buy or sell properties, whatever they need. We handle all of their real estate needs.
Well, and how long have you been in that space, Bob? Because I know you are an absolute expert in that.
Well, I've been a broker in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for 39 years.
39 years. Started when you were a baby.
Yes, I was 4.
Okay, so expert in real estate, expert in your space, right? Raised a family, grew an incredible community. You have a brand new book. Tell me a little bit about your book.
Okay, I wrote a book because I had a number of people that had approached me and said, with the decades of experience that you've got out there, have you ever thought about writing a book? And then I sat down with one of the doctors that called me, and we decided to meet. And we were talking about he was going to leave a hospital, start his own practice, and we were talking through what are you doing, how are you going about doing it. And I was saying, this is what you need to do. Step one, step two, step three, in order to get ready for financing and get everything moving. And he said, Bob, you inspire me. And so that sort of was a trigger. Then my wife and I were walking our dog down the street, and one of the neighbors laughing and jokingly said, Bob, I want to be you when I grow up. And I said, that's interesting. I'll give you two options. You can work harder than you've ever worked in your entire life for the next 60 years, or you can pay me $60,000 up front, and I'll teach you everything you need to know within a year, and then you can pay me 10% of everything you earn for the next 5. And he said, if I were younger, I might do that. I got about 10 steps further, and I said, I'll give you a third option. How about I write a best-selling book about it? You buy a copy of the book, I'll sell 1 million copies, and we both win. He said, I'll buy the book.
Does he know about the book? Have you reached out to him yet?
Yes, he does. and he's bought one.
I love it. I love it. How exciting. Well, I can't wait for him to read it because he was the inspiration, and I read your book. He was the kind of the kickoff for you way back, right at the very beginning of your book. So that's super excited. What do you hope, Bob, that your reader will take away from it? What are you hoping to leave and inspire them with?
Well, the book is called A Life Worth Living, and it's a message of introspection and motivation. So it's about a transformative journey that I will take them through a 7-step roadmap that I've put together that I feel with the right mentors and following this roadmap exactly, I think it will lead to what I call the 4 cornerstones of a fulfilling and happy life. And I'm talking about time to pursue your dreams and your desires. I'm talking about freedom to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it, the wealth to turn all of those dreams into reality, and the health to enjoy the richness of life along the way. Each chapter begins with an objective. It tells you a compelling story. It concludes with takeaways, reflective questions, and then it has action steps for you to perform. And that's the way I've laid it out.
I love it. Very thoughtful, very methodical. And what was your favorite part about becoming an author or during this process, do you think?
Well, my favorite part about becoming an author was, number one, doing it, becoming an author and getting it out there, because I knew I had this inside and I just wasn't quite sure exactly how I was going to do it. I knew I had a lot of decades, let's say, of interesting experiences and unique stories. I was challenged with the structure and the theme, because I went back and forth several times trying to get the structure and the theme together to get across what I wanted to get across. So then I determined what my why was, and I wanted to find out if it really had value, if it was going to add value if somebody read it. My why became my foundation for really writing the book. I came from a divorced family, and I know what it was like to go through life where sometimes you had a mentor, sometimes you didn't have a mentor. And mentors are just crucial, in my opinion, to helping you along the way. So my goal is, when the book is successful and we've done everything that we we plan to accomplish. One of the things I'd like to do would be to set up a foundation for divorced children, divorced kids, and provide mentors
Hmm.
to help them along the way.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful, Bob, right? And mentorship is so important. And I think we can all think back to somebody who inspired us, was kind of that guidepost for us, as our in our early years, right?
Oh
Right?
yeah,
Yeah. I
and
mean that,
those stories will be written about throughout the book.
yeah.
Those are the compelling stories that the book will be about.
And what I love, Bob, is that you've compiled them all into one place. Like these are all people that have poured into you, and probably most of them don't even realize, right? Like many of them don't even know the impact that they made in your life. And there's something too. Like we get to look back and in our journey and realize how much the advice of this person or the story or the impact they made. Bob, are you like going to package up little goodie bags and take them to some of your mentors?
Well, I just dropped off one of my books this afternoon to a doctor who was a client, who has become a friend, and he's in the book.
Mm.
There's a story about him in the book, and he didn't know it, and so I dropped the book off. Before I could get back here from his office, he already texted me and said, "Thank you for the book. I'm looking forward to reading it."
Of
Uh,
course.
I've had a lot of that. I mean, a lot of the books that so far have gone out there. One of my friends that we have a high school reunion coming up September of this year, and I just sent him a link that said, here's a book that I've written. And then I got something back. I think it was yesterday, where he had sent it out to a number of people within our class, saying one of our students has written a book, Bob Lazenby, and I highly recommend it, and I think all of y'all should read it.
Oh
So
my
he's getting
gosh.
some good play, and I'm pleasantly surprised.
Well, I know that within 12 hours of you publishing your book, you were already invited to your first speaking event. You spoke at a CEO luncheon talking about the book. I know it's opened up doors for you immediately. Bob, was there any part of it that did you ever like have doubt? Maybe think maybe you weren't going to publish the book. Maybe you didn't want to finish it. Did any doubt creep in?
There was never any doubt that I didn't want to publish the book.
Hmm.
I knew once I got started that I was going to make it happen. I mean, somehow, some way. And there were many, many nights where I was up to 2, 3, 4 in the morning because I wanted to make the deadline of getting this book published prior to us meeting at the Rainmakers Summit in Dallas, which just recently happened because the book was published March 13th.
Right? Yeah, it was just published. And
Just
so Bob
published.
Bob went through our 90-day author program and really and to be fair, he got short-sheeted a little bit. They actually only had 10 weeks to publish it because we didn't actually start until a couple weeks into January. So we got through the holidays. But Bob, you showed up, you committed, you put the hard work in. And and I imagine you probably had a few other things on your plate that you were doing. How did you find the time to take on this big project?
I mean, I don't worry about what I have to do because I mean I'm always busy and I've always got things to do, and so half the time I lay it out on my calendar and I find that it's not that much of a problem. You just if you have to work up into the evening, you do it. If you have to work all night, you do it. But oftentimes, what I find is I'll turn it over to God as He asks me to do.
Hmm.
And somehow, some way, once I do that, I feel this peace beyond any kind of understanding that I can understand, but also things fall into place. They always do. They always have.
They always do. They always have, right? Turn it over to God. And I think that's such a great reminder, even for myself. Like sometimes I feel like I have to force my way through it, right? And push through. But you're right. When I relax and release, right? They say, let go and let God. And it
Yeah.
always works out. Bob, I've
Yes.
been putting in your text in the, there it is, in the bottom, right? A life worth living, that we want to text the word worth, WORTH, text the word worth to 26786. Tell me a little bit about what they get when they text the word worth.
Okay, when they text the word worth to 26786, first off, it puts you into the community. So anything that's happening now or happening in the future will continually keep you updated with what the plans are and where we're at and where we're going. It also will have a link in there, will take you to the book, to Amazon, to buy the book. If you buy the book after reading the book, then there will be an opportunity for you to get a free 20-minute personal consult with me.
I love it. I love it. Text the word worth to 26786. You'll get plugged right in. You'll also get access to Bob's book. He'll send you a link to go and buy. Do you have a copy of it with you?
I do. Beautiful copy of the book. Here it is. A Life Worth Living, a message of introspection and motivation. I think you'll really enjoy it. I really do.
I know that they will. I know that they will. Bob, any closing remarks? Anything else you want to share?
The next thing on my plate that I feel is going to be helpful is I've signed up for the Platinum Speaker Training Program. And so May 5th through 9th, I'll be in Chicago doing a 5-day Platinum Speaking Training Program, learning more about the process and more about the skills to speak and sell from stage. And I think that's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to that.
Oh my gosh, I am looking forward to that as well. I think that's a brilliant next move for you, Bob, going out and sharing. Now that you're an author, authors should speak, right? We want to get you on more stages. And like I said at the beginning of this showcase, if you have a stage, if you have a podcast and you are looking for more incredible guests with just years of wisdom and stories to share, I highly recommend reaching out to Bob. Text the word worth, WORTH, to 26786. That will plug you into its community. Support your indie authors, support Bob, and share this with somebody. Bob, thanks so much for being our guest today.
Thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to many, many years of great relationship as we cross paths out there on the stages and in the world.
We have just begun. We have absolutely just begun. I'm super honored. I'm super excited for this, for you, Bob. Thanks so much for taking our time, for pouring into our audience today. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. Okay, I'll see you there.
All right. Let's move Bob out of the main stage. Isn't he awesome? Right? I mean, isn't that cool? Somebody who has all these years, he's been super successful, but still knew I have something more to leave, and a legacy, right? Think about the legacy that Bob has put into that book, telling all of those stories, just really admiring and honoring the people that poured into him. And I think it's a beautiful tribute, but also full of incredible wisdom. I have read the book. I encourage you to grab a copy of it as well. A Life Worth Living. Text the word worth to 26786. Well, again, I'm Angel Tussey. I am your host of this Hot Author Showcase, also the founder of the Need a Guest Facebook group. So if you are looking to be a guest or you need a guest, we encourage you to plug into our Facebook community. And always, when you meet an author, the best thing you can ask them is, where can I buy a copy of your book? Share the stories. I remember my mom, right? My mom has no idea what I do, has no idea how I run a business. She's like, you just sit on Zoom calls all day, Angel. The one thing she does know is that I'm an author, and it's easy for people to support authors. In fact, over 10% of all of Amazon's revenue comes just from their authors, directly from book sales. And so we want to thank you for supporting your local authors. Our next guest I want to bring up to stage, we have Gerald McNabb here with us. I think this is I am just so impressed by the wisdom in the room. These are gentlemen that they're not laying on their laurels. They're not sitting on rocking chairs, right? And just resting. they're really pivoting and doing amazing next things. And some of the big, I mean, they're taking big leaps and big journeys. And I can't wait for you to hear more about what Gerald is bringing to the stage. Gerald, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I appreciate what you said, because I'm 77 years old, and my feeling is I'm just getting started. That's a continual feeling that I have about life.
I can testify to that. I have been in the room with Gerald. Like, he truly is just getting started. He has the energy, he has the inspiration, he has the drive and the dreams of like a 25-year-old. So I just love that. And I love being near you and hearing what you are up to. Where are you coming from today?
Well, I'm in Southern Idaho. We have a multifamily residential real estate business. We're landlords. So we have property in Pocatello and Twin Falls, Idaho, primarily.
All right. Well, fantastic. So give me a little background. Give me a little bit more background, your little story there, Gerald.
Well, my background is I grew up on a farm, and I was a shy introvert. And so the book that I'm going to be talking about talks about when I was young, I thought everybody thought the same way. They thought the same way as I did. And so it was a continual surprise to me when I discovered that people were different. And so the book speaks to that. But so I grew up on a farm. I went to college, got a degree in chemistry, worked as a radio chemist for the Atomic Energy Commission, went back to school, got a master's degree in physics chemistry. We started one of the first retail microcomputer businesses in the country in 1977. We went to the first West Coast computer fair. And then eventually our business failed. I worked for some small companies whose businesses were failed. Then I worked for 2 large defense contractors in research and development. Then I moved back. I worked on both coasts. I spent some time in Florida, San Diego, Minneapolis, Baltimore, the Seattle area, et cetera. So I've seen a lot of different parts of the country. Then when my father died, we moved back to Idaho, and I worked for an agricultural company. And while I was there, I got 3 U.S. patents. And then that's a story in and of itself.
I was going to say, that's got to be, right?
So then after that, then we started developing residential real estate, and we would buy and hold property and fix them up. And we're continuing to do that. So we just have larger and amounts of property, and we continue to manage that. So we're different from a lot of people, but we're vertically integrated in what we do. So I've had a lot of different kinds of experiences where I see how things work, from being in a corporation to creating a patent, or growing up on the farm. Or actually, I taught math for a while. I taught the lower level math at a university.
Wow.
So I've had a lot of different experiences, and I put a lot of that in the book to say, I didn't realize that this happened. You think it works this way, but oh no, this is the way it works. And so I put that in the book, and then but maybe I can talk about that later. But so I've had when I was in the 9th grade, that was the toughest year of my life because I was shy. I was elected student body president. And this is in the book, but I had to introduce the speakers that would speak on stage and then walk across the gym floor. And I had no close friends, so I had to find a place to sit. So I write about those kinds of things. But now, after all these years, we have a business model that continually grows. So we've become fairly successful doing that. And our intention is to continue doing that. I don't plan to ever retire.
Never plan to retire. I know you've got some big things in the works, and we'll talk a little bit about where you're going to next. But let's talk a little bit about the book. Like, how does the book fit into all the fabulous things that you're doing? Why did you decide to write this book?
Well, I wanted to share, because there's a lot of shy people. A lot of people started life as a shy person, and they were hesitant to open the door, or hesitant to make the contact. And so I've had to do that in my life because of the different things I've done. So I'm on some level saying, this is what it looked like outside, and this is what it looked like once you got in the room. And so, in fact, last year, over the last several months, I've made it a choice to get into different rooms with different people. That's how I met you, for example. And I appreciate you and what you are doing. So the book is about the different ways that you encounter life.
Give us a heads up. Let's see the book.
There's the book. We don't know what we don't know.
Love it.
And so it's the insights. I've offered insights about these different things. Like a big corporation, for example. This is one story that's in the book. There was this fellow that had a crew cut, wore suspenders. He was an engineer, and he wasn't slow. He was just, moving around doing his business because he said he loved his work. He wanted to die on the job. But 2 weeks before he could have qualified to get retirement benefits, he was fired.
Oh.
For no particular reason other than, and at about the same time, there was a newspaper article that said that the company was firing the older workers and hiring new college graduates. So he was an example of that. So there's just a lot of different stories about how things work in life. And one of the things I did toward the end, I'll show you the chapter, sure, whether you can read it or not, but it's talking about developing strategic, you probably can't see it, but developing strategic relationships that can help you. I had a friend, for example, this is not in the book, but years ago said you could marry more money in 5 minutes than you could earn in a lifetime. And so the same is true of relationships. If you're trying to build a business or whatever, when I was young, I thought whatever success I would have would depend upon my own effort. And now I realize that I can leverage whatever I'm doing by having relationships with other people. Like, for example, in writing a book, because you have been a coach to me in writing the book, it's allowed me to create a book in 90 days. And so I'm getting ready to start another book, or actually started it already. But
Okay.
the other thing I've added,
I know you're going to gloss right over that. He did a book in 10 weeks, maybe even 9 weeks, Gerald, because I know you did a little bit of fast track, and he's already started his next one. And you've heard all the things you have going on, all the things that you have happening. You are so inspiring, and you are inspired. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm look what this man is doing.
Well, if you think about successful people, there's a lot of people that are reluctant to take action, but successful people, are ready, fire, aim. So they are ready to proceed instantly in reasonable ways, but they're ready to move ahead reasonably to do it. Specifically for the second book, the reason I've started the second book is I'm going to take the same speaking class that Bob talked about. And so that class, the book I'm going to write is Real Estate Path to Wealth. We've developed a multi-million-dollar business through real estate. And so I'm going to take our business model and put that in the form of a book. And I'm working on chapter 2 right now. And so the reason I'm doing that is I'm going to speak from stage about becoming wealthy by investing in real estate. And we have a particular model by which we do that. In fact, I have a third book in mind, which is going to be how to manage real estate, how to manage, to be a property manager, et cetera, how to be a landlord, and how to repair property. So that's going to be the third book. So the reason I was quick in writing the first book, this one right here, was I knew I had these other things coming up. So this was not the destination. This is a good book. You should get this book. It's available on Amazon. But for me, I need to write the next one because I'm going to be using it when I speak from stage. So if you can have a goal that stretches you, and so that you're focused on that goal, you make steady progress. So it's just a matter of doing the work. There's no fear involved if you're just doing the work.
Okay, I was going to ask you, at any point of this, did you have doubts or fears about actually finishing it? Did you ever think about not finishing it?
No, from my life experience, I've written theses, when I went to college. I've got 8 different steno pads that I'm working on for different projects that I'm working on about 8 different things right now. And so I'm very organized. I'm a research and development kind of guy. So I'm organized in what I'm doing. Even today, for what we're talking about, this is my notebook for writing my book, and I've got another notebook for the next book I'm writing. So there was no particular thing. I used ChatGPT in some cases to correct my grammar or spelling, and it would find some things, but then I edited it beyond that. So in terms of doing it, I set it as a fairly high priority to write the book. So that's what I did to finish the book. So I wanted to finish it early to get the content there. Then I went into a mode I should probably go this way if you're looking at it. Anyway, to add the editing of it, and then with your help, we did the final things to publish it on Amazon. So, but there was no particular barrier in my thinking. I knew I could do it, and I know I can do the next book, and I know I can do the book after that.
All right, you've got some exciting things coming down the pike, I know. Do you want to share any of those with our audience today?
There's a lot. It would take a while to go through all of it, but we're setting up. We've built our business by borrowing money from banks, as a lot of people do. We have leverage in what we do, which gives us a higher return on our investment. So now we want to set up an SEC Reg A Tier 1 so we can sell preferred stock to private individuals, whether they're accredited or not accredited. They can invest and buy stock. We've been working on this for over a year, and we're getting close to having that finished. So that's one thing. We're also working in our business. We're going to be digging a trench, about a 400-foot trench, to put fiber optic cable. We're upgrading apartments. In a few days, I'm going to go on a tour with the mayor of another small town in the area to see what opportunities there are there. I'm also active in different groups that would have investment money, so there may be investors coming from that. So there's a lot of different things, and so when I just switch my thinking to whatever project it is. Like today, we had a fire alarm, so I was involved in that.
How do you stay so youthful, Gerald?
Well, I work out at the gym. I go to Gold's Gym 3 days a week, and I'm going to hire a coach to give a tune-up. But I exercise all parts of my body. I go 3 times a week and go for about an hour and a half. I'm also taking supplements. I'm using LifeWave. I hadn't learned about LifeWave till recently, but it presumably activates stem cells. I may be wrong, but I think my hair is getting darker.
I should tell my husband.
So for my age, I'm in pretty good shape. So that's a partial list. I'm involved in a lot of different things. I'm also looking at options trading. We're setting up the fund. This year is going to be a busy travel year, going to different events. So I'm going into different rooms. If you want to be successful in life, if you're a shy person, you've got to get in another room, and all of a sudden you'll find some new friends, and you'll gain insight about what they're doing to become successful, and maybe work with them, just like I've worked with Angel, that you can accomplish more by doing that and not be afraid of it. To be willing to share what you're doing, give up some ownership, give up some whatever recognition, and you can be much more successful than whatever you could do on your own. So right now we have a passive income from our business. I'm 77. So when I'm asleep at night, I'm still making money from our business, but you have to do it over time. So there's just a lot of things happening.
A lot of things happening, a lot of wisdom, a lot of things that we can all learn from Gerald. If you have a show, you've got an event, you're looking for a speaker, you're looking for a guest to interview, lots of really great stuff. The book is We Don't Know What We Don't Know. And I know that when we text the word chapter, 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 to the number 26786, what are they going to get from you when they do that, Gerald?
Well, as I mentioned, I'm writing this next book, Real Estate Path to Wealth, which is the model we've followed to become wealthy. I'm going to send the first 2 chapters of that book, The Value of Real Estate and The Psychology of Capitulation.
Capitulation. Now, there's not a word you hear in everyday language, or maybe you do. I don't.
Well, in terms of real estate, for a lot of people, there's some reason or other that they say, I don't want it anymore. So they'll sell the property at a discount. So we bought one property for about $12 a square foot. It was a 55,000 square foot building. And, if you build something new, it's $140 or more per square foot. So then we do things in phases.
Yeah, I think I heard somebody recently, they were gonna do a new build. And I think you were in the room and you're like, there's so much good real estate that you can get that's just kind of pennies on the dollar, right?
Yeah, there's more opportunities than I have time, but I'll send the first chapters. There's going to be about 16 chapters in the book, but this sets the stage for how you can be successful. A little bit later, I talk about, they'll want to get the whole book eventually. I talk about the mathematics of I think about our business because I have a background in math. mathematically. So I know that our business is stable. For example, in 2008, we had money in the stock market and the value dropped by half. We had a residential, we were landlords, and we had no effect on our business. So real estate is far more stable being a landlord than investing in the stock market.
Okay. All right. So we definitely want to get Gerald out there speaking on more podcasts, on more stages. Make sure you pick up a copy of his book, We Don't Know What We Don't Know. You can text the word chapter to 26786 to get access to a free view of the upcoming book, one of 3 that he is currently writing. Gerald, thank you so much for being on with us today. It's always fascinating to spend time with you and to learn from you. And just really honored to that you poured into our audience today. I know you've got a lot going on, fire alarms, lots of things happening, but he stopped everything so that he could be here with us here today. So make sure that you support him and pick up a book and tell others to pick up We Don't Know What We Don't Know. Thanks so much, Gerald.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to remove you. Actually, I'm going to add Bob here too, right? So actually, I'm going to bring up both of you for just a minute, because I think that what you two are doing and just really inspiring others, right? Not to just go, you're not retiring, you're not sitting on your rocking chairs. So I just want to give you both just a closing remark, one last little brief word of wisdom or a brief little story. And then hold up a copy of your book so that people can grab that. And I'll start with you, Bob.
Well, I would say
he's like, wait a minute, I thought I was done. She didn't tell me I was going to throw her back on.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, I feel like I've got a whole new purpose. I mean, I started in corporate America. I spent 15 years there with Xerox and Sony and Litton Industries, Royal Typewriter Company. I was the youngest national sales training instructor in the history of Royal. There's a story in the book about a mentor that I wish I hadn't let get away. That if I'd have been smarter at that time, he was only 34. I'd have walked in to his office and put my arms around his leg and said, "Wherever you go, I'm going with you," because it's that important. And then I ran into him 25 years later, and it just so happened I was showing a building. They said, "Let me bring my father-in-law in. He wants to take a look at the deal." He flew in on his private jet, happened to be the same guy 25 years later, looked the same, as dynamic. He owned the Bentley dealership. He was in equity partnerships with one of the largest equity partnership groups in the country. He has some other stuff in Florida. And I muster back and I say, if I had just had the audacity to go in there and build that relationship, what are the possibilities? And so I just think there's all kinds of possibilities out there that people don't realize. Just like Gerald says, you don't know what you don't know. You got to want it, and you got to want it bad enough that you're willing to do whatever it takes to make things happen. And once you decide that, you're going to live a life worth living, and you want the time to live your dreams, and you want to do it when and how, and you want the wealth to be able to do it, and you want to be at this age and be physically fit so that you can enjoy it along the way and continue to enjoy it. I mean, that's what my book's about. I'm an investor in multifamily, multifamily real estate also. And so I know what Gerald's talking about there. So I've invested, my wife and I have invested in several multifamily deals. And I know what the risks are, and I know what the deal is there. But we're also involved in medical office, where we build and put together partnerships, sell it, and then everybody's finished. But to me, I mean, everything I do every day is just another joy to wake up and get and do more.
Yeah, I think that's something that both of you just have, this joy of, of giving back, and the fact that we get another day to give back and to serve, and you both just walk in such, just, I don't know, like I don't even know what like the right word is, but you both have this essence about you that is contagious. I'm so excited. You're both published. You're both going to be on stages, right? You're going to be speaking and going through that speaking program in just a few weeks, and I think it's the perfect place for you. So make sure you grab a copy of Bob's book. Remember, text the word "worth" to 26786. There it is, A Life Worth Living. Gerald, a final closing remark or word of wisdom you want to share?
Yes, I do. And this is, I think, very powerful. One of the things I've done in my life is I read. Not everybody has the ability to read, but that's one thing I'm able to do. And I've read about the histories of famous people, successful people, people who've become very wealthy. John Jacob Astor, Cornelius Vanderbilt, different ones that have done that. The Rothschilds. And what I saw in that is that they could have a certain amount of success, but they came to a crisis, and then they had to change to grow further. So their success that people know about came after they had made a change. So in my own case, I've had several different careers, and I've changed over the years. So as you're hearing this today, realize that in your life, you'll probably make changes. And if you choose to do that, that will lead you to more success. And so it's not just one change. It's not just one path through life. It's a series of changes. You go to a certain level and you say, okay, is there something better or that I should pursue? And you look for that. So that's what I've done. I've gone in different rooms. You look for that. And if you're willing to change, then you have the opportunity to grow. And so it's that decision of living without fear or minimizing or controlling your fear and making the change that will lead to success. And the other thing I would say is, for whatever skill you want to gain, you have to practice it. I took 9 years of piano lessons too. There's a lot of stuff I could do. So if you practice that, or if you're doing martial arts and practicing martial arts, you're training your mind, you're training your brain, you're training your reflexes to do that. If you're a public speaker, you're training yourself how to respond and all those things. So if you're willing to change, and if you're willing to work into that change, that will give you the greatest success. The last thing I'd say, perhaps, I could tell you lots of last things, is that if you're wanting to build wealth, whatever you have is your wealth. It's not some imaginary thing. It's what you have. To start with, you can have a job and earn money, live beneath your means, and you have something to invest. Then what you want to do is get a reasonable return on that investment, and over a period of time have it grow. Warren Buffett did that. He started investing as a child. Bill Gates started working with computers as a child, and then that grew from there. So the thing I would encourage is to not be afraid, be willing to make a change, and be willing to work into that change, and then be ready for when the next change happens. So that's what I would suggest.
Words of wisdom from both of you. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being with us today. One last picture, like little glimpses of your books, right? Can we hold those up? Brand new authors, right? Ready to go and take on the world. Super excited for both of you. Thank you so much for being a part of our Hot Author Showcase. We will be running bestseller campaigns for this entire group in a few weeks. And just watch out, world, because here they come, and they are on fire, and they are
fire. That's it.
Right? I love it. All right, gentlemen. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. I am going to bring up our next speaker that we have, who has been patiently waiting. Peggy, if you want to just turn on your camera so that I know that you are ready to join us, that would be fantastic. And so while Peggy is getting herself camera ready to talk about her incredible book that she has been working on. So it's been a little bit of a journey, and I can't wait for her to share that with you. But it's Peggy Beauregard. She's from the Nest Egg Builder Show. If you've ever watched her show, talked about building your nest egg, she's going to be coming up. Just need you to turn on your camera, Miss Peggy. In the meantime, if you want to follow us, we're actually live streaming this on my YouTube channel, YouTube youtube.com/@Media Firestorm is the name of our YouTube channel. If you want to subscribe to that, we've got another Hot Author Showcase coming up in a couple of weeks. I also share pretty much weekly some great tips on how to get booked on podcasts, how to be a great podcast guest, how to generate more leads from your podcast interviews. So we have all sorts of fun free training for you here. So subscribe. If you want to subscribe to stay updated and notified, that would be fantastic. But we are live streaming it. Peggy, are you able to turn on your camera? I can see you, but if I add you to the stage, it's just going to be a gray screen, it looks like. So hopefully she can be popping in any moment. Oh, device is not connected, it said. All right. So she's going to be working on that. And I'm going to be filling in with some lovely filler. Actually, I'll tell you about my book. So one of the beautiful things, whenever I work with a group, we actually do something really unique with our coaching program, is we bring 12 authors together all at one time as a group. And we all publish our books together. So it's 12 separate books, individual books, but through the 12 weeks, we step by step go through every process together. And it really creates accountability. It creates encouragement, a little, what do you call that? Little friendly competition, right? Because you don't want to show up and be the only one that didn't get your homework done. And so we've started doing this a few years ago, where we bring a group of 12 together, all together at the same time. And in the course of 12 weeks, we run from idea to published book. Like I said, Bob and Gerald, they actually came in during the holidays. And so their books, they actually only had 10 weeks to get their books done. So they were on the fast track. It looks like Peggy is just about ready. Her device is coming in. But one of the things that I've done with my last groups, and we've done this 3 times, we've run 3 rounds of 12 authors publishing their books all together. And during all 3 of them, I have also published, and she says, the camera is on, but it is not. Well, let me see if I can add you to stage and what happens when I add you to the stage. So let's just do a little test with Peggy. Nope, no camera on. So here's something we can just test and try. Is just, I'm going to remove you from the behind the stage. I'm going to have you log out and log back in. Maybe turn off your computer and turn back in. I don't know but why, but sometimes that works, right? We're having camera issues. So we'll try that. We'll have you leave the studio, turn off your computer, turn it back on, and pop back in and see if that works. And if it doesn't work, no worries, right? We will run this again in a couple of weeks, Peggy, and we'll make sure that you get that covered. We might have to do a special session just with you, because I do want people to connect with you and learn more about your book. You can also check out, she does a live stream every Tuesday. Her show, you can find it at the nesteggbuildershow.com. In fact, let me put that banner on here for you, the nesteggbuildershow.com. That's actually the nesteggbuilder.com tools you get from there. You get a website for her budget. Knowing what you have is the first step to financial freedom. So she has that for you. But then also, let me come here, this one. It's the nesteggbuildershow.com. She does have her own show. So we know her camera works, right? But today it's just not giving her, it's giving her a little grief. And sometimes that just happens. It just happens. So no worries. I'm going to give her a few minutes. I'm going to kick her out of the studio. I don't want to keep her from coming back, but I'm going to kick her out and have her come back in. But in the meantime, so we take a group of 12, they all go through the steps together, which is really exciting. And if you've ever thought about like the benefits of publishing a book, right? You have assets, right? Great asset that is out there impacting the world, probably reaching people you would never have an opportunity. There she is. Oh my gosh, right? She's like, shake it off, take a deep breath, right? Before we bring you on. Anyways, we are going to bring on the fabulous Peggy Beauregard to the stage. Hi, Peggy.
Hello. I never used StreamYard, so I didn't know I wasn't on camera because my camera automatically comes on. So there we go.
There we go. How are you today?
I am fantastic and great. I'm very excited to be here. So thank you very much for hosting this, and listening to Gerald and Bob was amazing. I feel like I'm in the right room because I also am a real estate investor myself.
Who knew this was my target audience, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you guys have you've expanded my avatar for sure.
Yeah, we've worked with hundreds of companies and showed them how to build their portfolio so they can have a nice, comfortable, and even amazing retirement if they so choose to wait to start using that cash flow, as Gerald talks about. I really enjoyed both of them very, very much. I like, oh, yeah, I'm there too. I got that.
Right?
To
Right.
have Gerald talking about you're on a journey, right? Your journey takes you on different paths. We've all been on different paths. Like my dad was in the service. He was in the Air Force. So I grew up all over the country. We moved every 2, 3 years, sometimes 9 months, all depending on where we were stationed or what he was doing. And then when we got to California and he retired, he started building houses. And my job was to go in and sweep the place up so it was clean for the men the next day. So that's sort of how I got involved in understanding a little bit about real estate. And they always hung around real estate people, which I didn't understand until later. Well, you need a real estate agent to sell those houses that he built. So I was pretty young then. And then I worked my way through college. So I went to Cal Poly Pomona in California, which I'm still living in California. And I started off in the restaurant world, working as a waitress. And I did that. I always found that as a good backup when I was in between jobs. You could pretty much always get a job in a restaurant and make tips. And then I was in the retail industry for years. And before I was in the retail industry, I was in the garment industry, or vice versa, or all of it combined, actually, because you've got that experience. You could go back and forth between them. So being in the manufacturing world and then being in the retail, you understand life begins with manufacturing. More jobs are created out of manufacturing than anything else.
Mm.
I have this advantage of living all over the United States, having been in so many different industries, and like all of that. So I started investing in multifamily. I was a lender, and then I started investing in as a passive investor, not like what Gerald's doing. He does his own, which I did, but hey, I don't want to do all that work. So I'm in self-storage, multifamily, industrial, shopping centers, office buildings, and reposition properties because I have experience in all of those on the corporate side. Have experiences what they are. So like that. And that actually led me to what we're doing now, and teaching people how to do their due diligence so that they could invest. We like real estate. You invest in whatever you want. But the reason I even started this book and was because I have heard hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories. And one of them is my own, that my parents never taught me anything about money.
Right.
I
Right.
never heard. And my grandparents were entrepreneurs. My grandfather started
They were entrepreneurs and you still didn't learn about money.
well, because we never talk about money. Never,
Oh,
never, ever.
okay. Okay.
My grandfather started a business, has gone 3 generations as an arborist in New York. And yet my mother, right, grew up with these people, and she still didn't know anything about money because her parents never talked about it.
Oh. Well, so that leads us right into tell us about the book. I was going to try and do a little screen share. So while you're telling about the book,
I
I'm
did
gonna
find
try.
that I did do a
Oh,
little printout of my book.
oh,
So,
look at that. Look at that. Because I was like, okay, how do I screen share and get that copy? Isn't that a beautiful book cover? Build Your Nest Egg, Discover the Magic of Money and Investing. Tell us about the book, Peggy.
okay, so I truly believe, and I've read several books where they say start teaching your children when they're 3 about money.
Hmm.
And I dumbed this down the best I could I've got 40 years in the business. You don't even remember what you didn't know because you've taught yourself and you've been to so many meetings, you've met so many people, and they've given you great advice. But I'm calling it dumbed down. I was tried to make it as simple as possible, not use any of the real estate lexicon, so that parents would read this book to their children. And yes, the children will have questions and the parents will have questions, but by the time they finish the book, which can be read in a couple of days, their kids can ask them questions and they'll know how to answer the questions.
Right. I think that's a thing. Like I think that my parents, it wasn't so much that money was taboo, but they didn't, they weren't investors. They were employees. My dad was in the Navy, so they weren't money savvy, right? They didn't know about credit. They just didn't know. And so we didn't have the conversations. And I think it's, as a parent, if you didn't learn about money and you want to bring up the subject with your kids and they start asking questions and you don't know the answer, like, we just kind of feel silly. So this is the book that you wish your parents had read, right? And the things that you wish your parents knew that you could ask. Wait a minute, I slaughtered that.
No, but yes. So it's just the basics of money.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about credit versus debt. It talks about how money even started. I mean, we didn't even use coinage, if you want to call it that. We didn't even use that in the first millenniums of man. They exchanged everything. So coins didn't even, and we didn't come up with that until later in life. I think around 1400 or so. I can't remember. It's in the book. When they figured out how to use coins and how to put the metals together, and it's quite a system. And now we just have it. It's just regulated, and it's worth what the government says it's worth now. Before, it was actually based on how much gold or silver or copper you had in something. Now the government says it's worth a penny. It's worth a quarter, right? So life changes, like we said, right? Life changes, and you just go down that journey to what it is. So, and it's fun. I tell you, I had a great time writing this book, and it's a challenge.
I know it's been, I'm so glad you said you've had great fun, because I know it has been a challenge for you, Peggy. You've had very, many different versions of it so that you could simplify it and break it down, because again, you do know so much. And so you've tried to make it as simple. What kept you the course? Because you did have some different hiccups and challenges, and we had to go back to the drawing board a couple of times. What kept you focused? What kept you dedicated to the end?
The fact that people are still telling me no one's ever talked to them about money. Why not? What is it that I get? If you don't know about money, how could you talk about money? So I just want to make it super simple so people can talk about money. So if they buy this book, Build Your Nest Egg, if they buy the book and they read it to their children, I don't care if their children are in their 50s, but basically for younger children, there will be knowledge, and people will understand how money works. And wouldn't it be better to have control over your money rather than money having control over you, which is what it feels like today? Oh, by the way, I don't know if Gerald's still on, but the stock market dropped 1,200 points this morning. So,
well, that's something you want with your coffee, right? That'll jolt you more than that morning cup of coffee. Well, Gerald had to hop off, but I'm sure he is. Yeah.
I don't do this. I don't do the stock market, and that's one of the reasons why I can't take the up and down. Mm-hmm. And what they did say, the stock market may go up and down, but your real estate's pretty even all the time.
Yeah, that's what he said, right? They get dropped half in half, but his investment stayed. So, and I think that now we have 3 really incredible books that all have different perspectives when it comes to investing, and it comes to finances, and it comes to building wealth and money, and reading all of them just from people who have stayed the course. Like, this isn't get in, get out. Like, what has worked over the course of time? What are the fundamentals that you need to know? And it's never too late. like you said, even if your kids are in their 50s, it's never too late to start having this conversation. And the fact that, I mean, just Peggy has pains, like she has poured her heart into this book. She has been so passionate. I met you a year ago, right?
Yes.
Peggy, we met and we started talking about this. And for an entire year, with all the other things that she has had going on, she has stayed the course and is committed to getting this book. And we are like days away from the book coming to the marketplace. Peggy, I know you've got some other tools, the nestegbuilder.com/tools. Do you want to talk about what they get when they go to that website?
Sure, I'd love to, because what's the most important, and the reason I stuck to this is because, and it's what I want for others, which may not be what they want for themselves. I want people to feel comfortable talking about money, and I want their kids to feel free about that too. So the tools is a spreadsheet. So when you go to the nestegbuilder.com/tools, there's a spreadsheet of budget, because if you don't know what you have, how can you figure out what you can do with it?
Right.
You fill that out, and now you know how much income you have, you know where your expenses are. I always say, look at all those automatic renewals, because a lot of us don't use those automatic renewals. And I bet you that would turn out to be a fairly nice savings account right there. Right. So like that. I just want people to be, it's what I want. And I know that's never it. It's always about what the other person wants. It's always about building the relationship. And building relationships, very, very important. But think about the different kinds of stories and conversations people could have if they knew about money. And I think I told you that I had a woman and her daughter. I didn't know her daughter was going to be in the interview, but they were traveling, so we couldn't do the interview. So her husband recorded and asked the questions, and she and her 10-year-old daughter did the interview. They started talking to her when she was 3 years old. She's 10 years old now. She invests with her parents. She also does all kinds of charitable things, and she talks to all of her girlfriends and guy friends about money and how they could save money or how they could invest money. And when they go shopping, they always compare their shopping with, well, could they do better online or would they do better in the store? And they have fun with it. Like, they take money and they actually have fun with it. And this young lady is 10 years old. I'm like,
Wow.
God.
Wow. Right. I think at 10 years old, I was
Yep.
I knew nothing. Right. Yeah.
She'll be financially independent by the time she's 18.
Yeah.
She'll have enough money to pay her own way through college.
And what a legacy that
Mhm.
is for that family to pass on. Well, what a
Isn't it?
beautiful story, Peggy. And there will be more and more stories when people are reading the Nest Egg Builder. Peggy, do you want to tell a little bit about your podcast?
Oh, so we have two things. We do a show every week. It's real estate related. So we have people come in and talk about tax advantages, IRA companies, self-directed IRA companies, attorneys, people that actually have deals. They come in and talk. So every week we have different people come and talk. Then I do a podcast, which is totally different. The podcast is for, let's say you would like to come on and talk about how you help people write their books and get their books out there, like me and all the other people that you're introducing today, so that you have something to offer someone and it makes a difference in their life. So we do that, and we love doing that because it's not real estate. And I love real estate. It's really my life and all, but there's so many other things that are out there. So I wanted to start this separate podcast doing that. So anybody could come on that. They just have to get on my calendly.com/Peggy Bow and set up an appointment, and we'll have that conversation. So there's those two things. And then we have the mastermind, which teaches people how to do their due diligence so they will be comfortable investing.
I love it. I love it. You're doing so much to give back, Peggy. And I know you are also going to be at the Platinum Speaker Program in May.
Yes.
So another great speaker, if you're looking for a speaker for your next event, you're looking for a guest to interview, or you're looking to be a guest on Peggy's show, make sure that you connect with Peggy at the nestEggBuilderShow.com, and then also the nestEggBuilderShow.com. Let me put this one up here. This is her free gift, the nestEggBuilder.com/tools, in order to get that budget. Peggy, thanks so much. Like, you've just been dynamite. I'm so excited for the book to come out. It has been a labor of love, but totally passionate about what you're doing, and really all of you making such a big difference. Bob, you're still here, right? Do you want to pop in? I'm going to add Bob to the stage, right?
Hi there. Peggy,
Hi.
how are you?
Right?
I'm great.
Good.
Thanks.
Good to see you again.
Yep.
And I know you've been working hard.
It's been enjoyable. Just like what you said, you just take the hours it takes. I know you say 10 minutes a day. I wish I could have done it in 10 minutes a day.
Yours was a little bigger lift, right, than most of them. But I'm going to ask both of you, because I asked this to Gerald. How do you stay so youthful, Peggy? I mean, one thing, I would love to raid your closet. You always have the most beautiful clothes. Every time I see you, you're one of the most well-dressed women that I know. But how do you stay so youthful and so hopeful about the future?
Well, mindset, I don't like to call it mindset because you can't have a set mind. I'm pretty open. I try to do my best to be open and stay in a positive conversation and positive attitude. I also exercise. I exercise like 4.5 days. Like Thursday's my really early morning start. And so I get a little weight lifting in for my upper body. I do that five days a week. And I can eat anything I want pretty much. So I've been very fortunate in that. And I walk, and I just started using LifeWave. Also, I found that I have a lot more energy than I used to have like that. So I'm seeing a difference, which I had tried it years ago and I didn't have any results from it. And now I'm seeing a difference. Maybe you just have to be a little older for it to take effect. And here's the best part. The cameras like Zoom, they really make you look great all the time.
I know.
This one had so much.
I had somebody yesterday ask me if I had kids. When I told him that my daughters are 32, he was like, "Wow." I'm like, "Well, it's the filters, right? It's the filters." This one does have a filter on it, and it puts this weird, like, it got these weird shadows. Oh, maybe it's actually just my lights. I thought it was putting weird shadows on my face, but it actually is me putting weird shadows on my face.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the Zoom filters. They are dynamite. But you also have a very youthful spirit and energy about you, and so super excited, right? And so exercise, who you hang out with, probably the books you read, right?
Oh my God, I have like 8 books going. Yeah, so if you don't mind, I'm reading a Charles Payne book because I want to know more about stock. I'm reading Michael Turpin's book about crypto because I want to understand that. I like to have conversations with people. I'm doing a blockchain book. I'm reading also The Essentials of Ernest Hemingway. I'm reading a podcast book, and I'm reading 2 speaker books right now. So when somebody says, "Oh, people aren't reading anymore," they should come to my house.
I am really, yeah. I mean, I think people are reading, and I think they love actually reading books. I'm getting more into audiobooks because I can take it with me on the go, but they are, and in Amazon, it is 10% of all of Amazon sales are book sales. So people are buying books for sure. How about you, Bob? What keeps you so youthful and so hopeful?
Well, supplements. We take, Kathy and I take a lot of supplements. I have basically a gym in my house, and I have my own treadmill. I have my own workout equipment, and I work out every day. Kathy keeps me eating properly because she was pre-diabetic about 12 years ago, and her doctor said, "Does your company pay for a nutritionist?" And she said, "I don't think so." And he said, "Well, good luck." So she went out on the market and learned everything she could about eating properly and what to eat, what not to eat. She doesn't eat any carbs. She doesn't eat any sugars.
Mm.
And she joined a supplement company about 12 years ago, and they have supplements all the way up through uh, skincare cream for male and female, and so we just believe in it, and we probably take 12, 15 different supplements a day. We work out, we eat the best we can, and we just don't think about it. We have fun. We
Mm.
have a lot of fun together.
I love that, right? You have a lot of fun. I remember, learning something. This was a couple years ago, but just how important it is to put more fun into our days. And I think as entrepreneurs, it's
Yeah.
easy to put that on the back burner, right? Because there's
Remember
always
what Bill says, we're the only people that'll work 100 hours a week to keep from working 40.
right. So we don't have to work 40 for somebody else. Yes, yes, yes.
So true. So true.
I
Thank
love
you
it.
for the lovely compliments, Angel. Really appreciate them.
Well, it has been, I truly have enjoyed this whole process. And I know it's been a little bit of a challenge, but I knew we would get here, Peggy. I knew we would. And, but you have both been so darling. Let's hold up your books, right? You've got your picture there, right? Yep. So Bob's book, text the word worth to 26786. Grab a copy of A Life Worth Living. Peggy's book, Build Your Nest Egg. Connect with Peggy. It's coming out very soon, within a matter of days. Her book is going to hit the shelves for you guys. So we're super excited about that. Just honored that you were both
This statement right here, I think, is very important. It
What
says,
is it?
choose your passion, select your niche, find your mentor, be a champion.
There you go. Words of wisdom, words to live by from both of you. Well, I'm gonna put you both in the backstage. I'm gonna wrap this little show up, but I'm gonna say thank you so much to both of you for being a part of it. I couldn't have done it without you, and just super honored. Make sure that you connect with both of them, invite them to your stages, invite them to speak to you at your events, and invite them as guests on your podcast. But most importantly, go and buy a copy of their book, and maybe buy two and share it with a friend. All right, I'm going to say goodbye to both of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. Aren't they dynamite? I can't believe I've got this weird shadow that I thought was computer generated, but it's actually because I have weird lights. So let's turn off the lights for a minute. Oh, I still have the weird shadows. All right, let's keep the lights back on, right? Full production right here. So one of the things that I think is so important as we are, these are just interesting times, right, that we are in. Make sure you plug in to a community of people that you love to hang out with, that support you, that encourage you, that maybe challenge you a little bit. And I think that's what we've created here inside of our 90-day author program. If you've ever thought about publishing a book and doing it in a group setting, we'd love to have you apply to be a part of our next cohort of 12 authors that we will bring to publishing in probably about 6 months, right? We're not starting the next one right away, but having a great tribe, right, is super important. Purpose. You heard from all three of our incredible authors today. They just have such drive and passion, and you can tell they're living in their purpose, and they are sharing that purpose with others, and they're put it into words, which is incredible. They all have incredible faith, right? And I think that's super important as well, as we have something internally that is driving us. And so having a tribe, having purpose, having faith, and having fun is just so critical. And I hope you got that from all three of our authors today. Did want to tell you, I also published my book with this last group called Amplify Your Reach: How to Use Podcast Interviews as the #1 traffic source for growing your business. With each community of authors, I've done this with the last 3 groups, I've gone through and I've published a book right alongside with them. So I'm not just asking you to do something, I'm walking it with you. I'm learning the new technology, AI, right? Do we use AI? How much AI? It's always a question. We don't use AI to write our books, but we do leverage it as a tool to help with spelling and grammar and some brainstorming and helping us with outlines and things like that. But don't think you have to use AI to write your book. Your book is inside of you, right? Your story. Trust your intuition. If you've ever thought, I want to write a book, they keep telling me I've got a story in me, or something in here today inspired you, just trust yourself, because the book is inside of you. And it's truly your stories that separate your book from any other book that's out on the marketplace. If you think, well, somebody's already written a book about that, there's already a book on that subject. I remember my mom had shelves and shelves of cookbooks growing up, right? I mean, how many cookbooks do you need? But they're all unique and they're all different. What makes your story, your book, unique from every other book on the marketplace is your story. So share your story, start writing it. And if you've ever thought, how do I get started? Just record yourself 10 minutes at a time. Record your stories. You can always transcribe them, use AI as a transcription tool to fix it for spelling and grammar, and start to put your book together. And by the end of this year, you could also be a published author. All right, so that is our Hot Author Showcase. Thank you so much for being a part of it, for hanging out. Really, truly, thank you for your support, for supporting indie authors, going online, telling your friends about their books, taking pictures with their books. It means the world to them. Grab a copy of each of our authors' books and share this with somebody you know. And thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Follow me at needaguest.com.